want to pivot to the teacher strike that's happening in Minneapolis, because one of the number one things that we talk about during these Wednesday shows is the solidarity around workers and teachers being on the front line. Could you give us an update on what's happening with that strike?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a pleasure to have you as well. So thank you for being with us. The teacher strike, we're on day 2 now in the city of Minneapolis. Teachers are going to be rallying at the state capitol because there's actually a $9 billion surplus. So educators are going to the state capitol asking the governor why exactly some of those funds can't be allocated to classrooms, can't be allocated to more mental health services. Right now, we know that there's a student ratio of, I think, 1,000 students. There's only 2 social workers per 1,000 students. So wow. Inside the classrooms during this pandemic, kids are in need of more mental health services, more mental health support. And educators are standing up and saying, we're not going back in the classroom until we can get the funding to improve that ratio, class sizes, wages, all of these different things that are impacting not only the quality of life of the educators, but also the quality of learning that they can provide for our students. And so there has been some criticism from community members because obviously classrooms are shut down pre-K through 12th grade in the city of Minneapolis. So parents, once again, are stuck trying to figure out where can their kids go during the day while they have to work, right? But on the other side of that coin is teachers who are saying that our students are not getting a quality education. Yesterday, Ben, we saw thousands of educators and supporters who took to the streets to demand that their requests be heard. And again, when you look at the $9 billion surplus, I mean, the money's there. So we should really be asking ourselves, what is the resistance about here?
We have a clip. David, Dwayne, run the clip that gives us this update. I think it may be Voices, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia. We took it directly from your coverage of this strike. Do you want to tell us what this clip is, or we could just run it?
Yeah, so if it's from yesterday, thousands of educators were outside in Minneapolis rallying and basically just kicking off day 1 of this strike.
Let's take a look at that.
In this country, the richest country in the world, we are paying ESPs $24,000 a year. View is that everyone is standing for a living wage for our least paid workers. How is it that they try to talk about finding ways to deal with recruiting black and brown teachers, and then they have you on strike doing nothing about having a competitive salary? How dare they? You are the ones that bring opportunity and justice to Minneapolis. The fact that they have you on strike, look, I'm from New York and I'm Jewish. There's a Yiddish word. The fact they have you on strike is a shanda. It's a shanda. You want to be in schools with our kids. Then you need the fairness to actually do the work. Smaller classes, mental health support, and living wages so you can stay in Minneapolis without working 2 or 3 jobs.
and
wow.
band, lots of dancing. I mean, the energy was high, but you heard it summarized there very clearly. There's 3 requests: livable wages, educators saying that they shouldn't have to go work 2 and 3 jobs. They shouldn't have to go live way in the suburbs outside of the city of Minneapolis to be able to afford a quality of life, right? They should be able to live in the neighborhoods that they're serving in. More mental health services for our students and smaller class sizes. They've made their demands very clear. And I think that all of those requests are very reasonable. I think that those requests also are very attainable when you look at the fact that we have a $9 billion surplus in the state of Minnesota. So why can't those funds be allocated to teachers in Minneapolis?
And so what I'd like to ask is, what have legislators said that $9 billion surplus is to be used for?
That's a great question.
Yeah, there's been, I think, some different proposals, but they haven't landed on anything yet. I will say I am getting emails almost every single day from the governor's office about a tour that they're doing across the state of Minnesota, allocating $300 million to public safety. So they're meeting with police chiefs in every city. They're meeting with police chiefs in every city across the state. They've made a huge emphasis on the cities that are, more rural area. They've gone to greater Minnesota. But I'm getting emails, updates about this public safety campaign where they're allocating $300 million to these different departments and meeting with the police chiefs and other stakeholders in their cities to find out what do they need money for. And so, I thought that was interesting on the backdrop in the wake of George Floyd here in this state where, we are supposed to be the epicenter of this global movement for police accountability. And we have a surplus of funding, yet and still the governor is doing this campaign that aligns with Biden's message during the State of the Union address to fund police. And so, I think when we see our children not having access to the resources that they need for a quality education, we see their educators not having access to wages for them to have a livable salary, right? We here in the state of Minnesota, and this is parallel to what's happening in other cities too, right? Or other states. And so, but we have to ask ourselves, the old saying, put your money where your mouth is. And I think that's right. The state of Minnesota and other cities, states that are experiencing similar crises, it's clear where our leaders' priorities are.
And Georgia,
Miki, let me, Brother Mac, real quick. Brother Matt, real quick, only because Nomiki is going to have to get out of here. I want to get Nomiki in here to speak about this because we've seen these teacher strikes really be a flashpoint in the recent years. I remember all the strikes that we saw in Wisconsin. With the time that you have left, Nomiki, could you just talk about that in context of the broader solidarity and tell everyone how they can reach you and support your work?
Thank you. Well, it's always, I love Wednesdays. It's a great way to start the day. And even when the news is so dire right now, it's inspiring to be with comrades, right? I think what's really important, and we've talked about this before on the show, teachers are the largest public sector workers in the country. They are the strongest union force in this country. They are the largest donors, the unions, the largest donors to the Democratic Party. I can't believe, Randy Weingarten, who was speaking there, I have seen her give that speech in different forms in so many different communities, whether it's a small room in Long Island or in Puerto Rico, I've seen her give a speech, or in Arizona. Teachers really have been on the front lines of these attacks and survived because they're so strong. Think about it. If the average teacher is making $24,000 a year and staying a teacher, they are doing it because they love the work that they're doing. I think we, as progressives, really need to step up I don't know how, but think about how we can support our teachers, because Republicans, the far right, the Koch brothers have been attacking them at the state level for decades now. But during COVID, they used every single scenario to really put teachers against the wall and make them out to be the demons. But they're what keep our communities together. We would not be the country we are today if we did not have public education. And I really feel for you guys. And I think every Democratic lawmaker really needs to understand. And maybe that's where we as folks can stand in solidarity and really challenging our Democratic lawmakers to make sure that teachers are protected and paid.